Ooh.
Oh, pretty good.
Vroom, vroom, vroom.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's Rowdy.com Big Three, sitting alongside NASCAR reporter extraordinaire Bob Pockrass. My name is Bass Masters. Bob, of course, from SceneDaily.com. And Bob, as you know, every Wednesday we do what we call the Rowdy Big Three Quote Edition.
Are those your 3 quotes?
No, they're not all from me.
Oh, okay.
But they're about NASCAR racing. I picked them. And the first one comes from Brian France. He was talking about his position as NASCAR chairman and how, Bob, sometimes when you're the chairman, criticism comes with the territory.
Any leader that is trying to, move things along, run a complicated thing, have a lot of stakeholders, all that stuff, I think that goes with the territory to some degree.
So what do you think? I mean, obviously, if you are NASCAR's chairman and CEO, you're going to get some criticism no matter what you do. But what kind of a job has Brian France done lately?
Well, I mean, you're right. He's going to get criticism. That's why he gets paid the big bucks, right? To get some of the criticism.
Which means you and I shouldn't get any criticism at all.
No comment on that one. I mean, whenever you have attendance down like it had been the last few years and you have the economy the way it's been, I mean, it's easy to just say, well, it's the economy. I think they've done some things that have really tried to I think they've done things on the competition side to really help boost the competition, the double file restarts, the 3 green white checkers. I think the ethanol fuel was a step, but they need to go further.
More a symbolic step.
Right, more a symbolic step. Fuel injection is a good thing. I think they made a big mistake with the new car, and that didn't have a whole lot of manufacturer identity, and they're going to try it now. They're working to rectify that. I think there's more to do more in the business side than necessarily the competition side.
It feels to me like, just thinking of competition for a second, you can't really criticize Brian France or NASCAR for being too conservative. I mean, they've really attempted a bunch of things. You go back and you start with the chase. I mean, that was a radical change in NASCAR. And double file restarts. We have a new race car. So there's a lot of things that they've done. Have they been almost... Do you think there's been too much change, Bob?
I wouldn't say there's been too much change. It was just really the change to the new car was just such a huge change, and the chase was such a huge change. There were just so many major changes, and and while they achieved what they wanted to safety-wise with the new car, it took a while as far as racing-wise and everything else to kind of evolve with that.
Now, Bob, you had a great story about some of the anger we heard in the scanner at Richmond, specifically from Kurt Busch.
I'm going to cover my ears if you're going to play that.
Have the actual,
my ears.
I recreated this quote. This isn't Kurt. This is me doing Kurt. Listen.
We look like a monkey football. The Penske joke. Everybody.
So he was mad. He's a known. He's got a little scanner anger problem or something, or maybe this is just the way he expresses himself. Can you take this too far as a driver? This negativity. When his car was not good. I mean, his car hasn't been good this year.
I think the question is, will there come a point where his negativity inhibits his ability to improve the race car during a race? What you didn't hear in that was near the kind of the end of the race or second half of the race. During the first half of the race, I don't want to say before the first or second pit stop, he said, "I can't fix this. Neither can you." and maybe he was just saying that the car's, it's not something that you can change with a spring rubber or something like that. But it was a very defeated type statement that early in the race. And now Kurt, as far as his performance, top 10 in points when... If you listen to him on the radio, there's no way he should be.
If you look at the car, the cars aren't good.
There's no way he should be in the top 10 in points. So I'm not sure that it's impacted his performance yet, but I think you've got to be worried that it will. As far as morale on the team, I think it can't help morale, but I also think it's kind of like going to play basketball for Bob Knight and then complaining that he yells at you. I mean, Kurt Busch has been this way for since how old is he? I mean, he's been this way
since age 3. Kurt has been saying things like this.
Right. So if you're on his team, I think you expect it, and if you can't handle it, you're going to be the one to need to leave and not him.
Yeah, I think I think you have to be careful because whether or not you expect it or you know what you're going to get, if it's not done exactly right, you can I think defeat guys I mean, you need those guys to want to work for the driver. It's an interesting dynamic in NASCAR racing. They have to want that guy to succeed.
And while Kurt Busch is a great driver, and he's going to wheel that thing really good.
He's going to give it all he's got.
You've got to imagine that there are some guys who will be like, I just won't work with that guy.
Quote number 3 comes from our buddy Rick Mast earlier on this week's Rowdy podcast, talking about another somewhat emotional gentleman, Juan Montoya, after his run-in with Ryan Newman at Richmond.
He kind of goes overboard with his retaliation sometimes. He carried it to the extreme. He went overboard by trying to wreck Newman after that.
So what do you think? Does Montoya have a habit of retaliating and taking it too far? Because there is a place for defending your turf, standing up for yourself, paying a guy back. There is a place for that in racing, right, Bob?
There is, and obviously, even though he's in contract year, I mean, I think most people think he'll re-sign with Ganassi, and he has, it's not like I don't think Ganassi's gonna say, "Oh, Juan, you can't be,"
You can't be emotional,
right? It's hard in this situation because I think Ryan Newman's reputation kind of precedes himself.
Most definitely.
I mean,
he's a guy that doesn't cut you slack,
right? And so even if maybe this wasn't totally his fault,
he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt.
Exactly. If he retaliates against somebody and 3 or 4 guys get caught up in it, then NASCAR's going to be mad about it and other people are going to be mad about it. If he just kind of takes care of business and doesn't get everybody else involved, then that'll be okay.
Does Juan Pablo, though, as a pretty aggressive guy himself, is he creating a situation where he's going to have, if you have too many enemies out there, it makes it harder for you to succeed?
Well, and
does it pay to keep your powder dry sometimes?
Well, sure, because now he's not going to get the benefit of the doubt either.
From Ryan.
Not from Ryan, from others.
Right.
And the other thing, too, is that let's say NASCAR has to make a judgment call. Did he spin this guy out on purpose? Did he not? Well, what's his past history? He spun him out. He's, Logano, right?
Right.
He and Logano. I mean, so he's not going to get the benefit of the doubt if NASCAR's trying to weigh whether to penalize him.
Paying a guy back is all about protecting yourself. It's about self-preservation. But if you take it too far, I think you can hurt yourself. And I think he's in danger of crossing that line. I really do. All right, that has been your Rider.com Big 3 for today. Thanks to Bob Pockrass of Seeing Daily for joining us. And we'll be back tomorrow. I think Cutler's even going to be back tomorrow.
Oh, my gosh.
We'll actually be in
Amazing.
the same place. Finally. Until then, we'll see you.
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Rowdy.com.